All right, let's work through example E now. Let's take a look at what it's given us here. It says given 3x minus b equals 14. Can we solve for x right now? Why or why not? And if I'm looking at this, I want to solve for x. So I'm looking at x here, and it looks like an equation, which is good. I can use my equation solving skills. But if I'm looking at this minus b here looks like it might be giving me a little bit of an issue, right? I'm not sure I'm ready to solve for a variable with another letter in the equation. We'll get to that at some point, but we're not ready for that yet. Okay, so if I'm writing an answer for this question, can I solve for the x right now? Yes. Yes, but the b gives me pause. Okay? So if, for instance, I had a letter a number that I could substitute in for that b, then it would look like the equations that we've solved previously, and we'd be able to solve this problem. So in the second part here, we get a number for the letter b. Okay, we can say that b is the same as 1, which means that I can take that 1 and put it into this equation for b. Now let's go ahead and do that, and let's see what we get here. Okay, I'm going to get 3x, I'm not doing any substituting there, minus 1, right? I'm going to put in 1 there, 3x minus 1 equals 14. So instead of b, I put 1 right here. Maybe I should even highlight it, right? And now, hopefully, this looks like something that we've solved in the past, right? This looks like an equation that we've solved before, okay? So let's go ahead and solve it. My x is on this side of the equation. And remember, because it's an equation, right? I've got an equation. I'm going to do inverse operations. Instead of PEMDAS, I'm using SADMAP. So the inverse of minusing 1 would be adding 1 on both sides. So not combining with 3x. Negative 1 plus 1 is 0. And put in plus 0 I don't need to do. 14 plus 1 is 15. And I'm closer to solving for my x, but I'm not all the way there. 3 is right up next to the x, that's multiplication. So the opposite of that multiplication is going to be division. So dividing both sides by 3. 3x divided by 3 is 1x, or just x. And 15 divided by 3 is 5. So x is going to equal 5. Now, take a look back at this, okay? Look back at that section, right? Once we got that value for b substituted into our equation, this was hopefully really familiar to us, right? That's stuff we've done before. Okay? All right, let's do another example. I've got a few examples here. Might as well have some fun with these, right? All right, it says solve for b. Okay, now, ooh, look at that. That's a little different, right? Now we're solving for b. If 4b minus 5 equals a, and a is equal to negative 13. Okay, all right. So let's see. I see this, right? A is the same as negative 13. So wherever I see that a, I'm going to substitute in negative 13. Everything else I'm going to keep the same. So 4b I'm keeping the same. Minus 5 I'm keeping the same. Equals I'm keeping the same. But now instead of a, I'm plugging in that, maybe I'll use the green, negative 13. Because they are equal to each other. And that negative 13 is easier for me to work with. Now I'm solving for b, right? I've got a letter b here. I'm used to solving for x, but solving for b can be the same thing. All right? So my b's on the left-hand side. I've got my equal sign in the middle. And I'm ready to do my inverse operations. Remember, I want to inverse addition and subtraction first. So the opposite, or the inverse of minusing 5 is adding 5 on both sides. So 4b I didn't combine with anything. Minus 5 and positive 5, that's 0. That cancels itself out. We're combining here, and we're combining a negative and a positive, which means that we want to use subtraction, right? So 13 and 5, subtracting those is 8. And who's winning the battle, right? Minus is much, there's more minuses than there are positives. So it's minus 8. All right, b is still on this left side of the equation, so I'm inversing over there. 4 is right up next to it. That still means multiplication. Inverse or opposite of multiplying by 4 is division by 4. 4b divided by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1, or 1b, equals. Let's take care of our sign first. Negative divided by positive is a negative. And 8 divided by 4 is 2. So in this case, b is going to equal 2 when a is 13. All right, let's do another. This is fun. I'm having a blast. Solve for b. Solve for b if 11 equals negative 2b minus a, and a is not negative 3. It's positive 3. A is positive 3. Reading's hard sometimes. All right, so I'm going to look back into my equation that I'm given. 11 equals negative 2b minus a, right there, right? There's my a. So I'm going to copy that equation, and when I get to that a, that's when I'm going to take this 3 and substitute it in, because it's the same. All right, so let's do it. I'm copying 11. Copying equals negative 2b minus, oh, now instead of that a, I'm going to take what a is the same as, and I'm plugging in that 3. Now, notice that a changes to be a negative 3 because of the minus sign right in front of it, okay? That's okay. That's allowed. That's what we want. Okay? All right, solving for b, right? Solving for b, b. B's on the right side of my equal sign here, right? There's my equals. B's over there. So let's focus in on that right side, right? I'm going to use inverse operations again. And I want to try and do addition and subtraction first, because I don't see any parentheses or anything else like that. So this is a minusing 3, and the opposite of that is going to be adding 3. If I do it to one side of my equal sign, I got to do it to the other. What do we get? 11 and 3 on the left side over here is 14, equals, combining nothing with 2b, negative 2b. Minus 3 and positive 3, that's 0, right? So I don't have to put plus 0 out here. And where's my b? B's over here. So I want to inverse, right? Negative 2 right up next to b. Multiplication again, right? Inverse of that multiplication is division by negative 2. Division by negative 2. Positive divided by negative over here on the left is negative. And 14 divided by 2 is 7, equals. Negative divided by negative is positive, and 2 divided by, or 2b divided by 2 is 1b, or just b. And we got it. We did it, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations. All right, let's do one more. This one has a little trick to it, and I think you'll be okay with it, but we'll just try it just to be 100% sure, okay? All right, solve for b if, and we're given the equation again, and this time a is going to be the same as, the same as 15. So a is 15, a little bit bigger, nothing tricky yet. I see an a over here, so I'm going to highlight that a, and that's where I'm going to substitute in that 15. So let's see what we get here. Let's see we get. I'm just going to copy this. Let's choose a different color. Let's go with orange maybe. I'm just going to copy this. So negative 20 equals 5b plus, oh, wait a second. 2 is right up next to that a, right? They're right up next to each other, which we know means multiplication. So I'm going to take 2 and then multiply by what I want A to be. In this case, I want A to be 15. Okay. All right. We can do this. All right. So, again, we just need to focus in. We're solving B, right? And it's an equation. So we want to highlight those things to make sure we're focusing. But now I see some parentheses, right? Notice I used some parentheses there because I wanted to show multiplication. We said it was 2 times A, 2 times 15. We didn't want to have just 2 and then write in 15. We didn't want 215 there. That'd be, I don't think, correct because we want to represent the multiplication. So that's why I put the parentheses around it. So let's simplify that parentheses first before starting to think about our inverse operations. All right, so let's do that. Let's see. Negative 20 equals 5b. Now let's simplify these, right? Order of operations says that we can multiply these out. And 2 times 15 is 30. Now, because we were able to simplify this little thing over here, now this hopefully should look like what we've seen before, right? We've got our b here. We've got our equal sign. And hopefully now we can think about our inverse operations. Okay? So I think if my b is on the right side, that means I want to inverse with addition and subtraction on that side first. So instead of adding 30, you want to subtract 30 on both sides. Try not to you anymore. All right, in any event, negative 20 combining with negative 30. I'm combining a bunch of negatives here. So 20 negatives and 30 negatives is 50 total negatives on the same team. Oops, I forgot my negative sign. Whew. Equals 5b. Didn't combine anything with that. 30 and negative 30, 0. Be gone. And again, I got my b right up next to a 5. That's multiplication. Inverse of that is division by 5. So let's see, negative divided by a positive is a negative. 50 divided by 5 is 10. I think there's 10 5s in 50. And on the right side, 5b divided by 5 is 1b, or just b. And we did it! We had a little bit of a tricksy part up here, right? We had a little bit of a tricksy part right there. But other than that, we were no problems, right? Okay. All right, I think, let's see, yep, you got 6 more problems down there. See if you can attack those and get those taken care of. And finish out the rest of this notes page.